All right, guys, I hope you had a fun and spooky Halloween. Although I know it was a little bit different this year, but I hope you still had a little bit fun. Let me talk about what you are expected to do this week. So everything is open today, November the 2nd, and will be closed on Sunday. Before I talk about the new material, I just want to have a very important announcement about the late assignments. All late assignments must be turned in by the end of November 24th, which is the Tuesday before the Thanksgiving holiday. The reason that you have to submit all late assignments by November 24th is that after Thanksgiving, there's basically just 1 week left for us to do, the last lecture test, the last lab test. So I absolutely need you to turn in all the late assignments by November 24th, which will give me enough time to grade them in time for calculating your overall course grade, your final course grade to be posted on Blackboard and in the school system. All right. If you missed the deadline, I'm sorry, I cannot let you make up the late assignments. Everything has to be submitted by November 24th. Right now, if you have any late assignments, not late assignments, but missing assignments, you will see a 0 as a placeholder. Once you can turn in that assignment, then let me know. You have to email me because Blackboard doesn't tell me there's any new submission. So once you email me, I will grade that assignment, and whatever score you get, I will use that score to replace the 0. So this will help with your overall grade. If you're not happy with your overall grade, definitely check to see if you have missing assignments, and just finish them as soon as you can, so that you can see a little bit increase in your overall grade. For late assignments, if they are a week late, more than a week late, you earn up to half of the credit. Right? You still should try to get all the questions right so that you can get half a credit. If you have the wrong questions, I still need to take points off. Right? So you may not get full half credit. All right, now for lecture test is open today until midnight, right, 11:59. If you haven't done lecture test, make sure you finish it by the end of today. This week's lecture topic is about gene expression. So instead of posting lecture recording, which is not seen by many of you, we are going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to teach synchronously on Tuesday about this chapter. All right, if you can join me, please do. We don't have a teaching assignment this week. Instead, we are going to have something I think more fun, and that's a genetics case study. So I wrote this case study with another person based on a real clinical case. So you will see, it's super interesting. So again, we are going to go over the case study synchronously on Wednesday. All right, if you are available on Wednesday between 2 to 3, please attend the class meeting and participate in the case study. So your participation is really just answering about 20 multiple choice questions. And I'm going to use poll everywhere to collect your answers. All right, now most of the answers are anonymous, so don't feel intimidated. You're worried about the answers not being corrected. Don't worry, most of the answers are anonymous, so I wouldn't know whom the answer is from. But there are a couple random questions that are not anonymous, and this is for me to kind of collect attendance information or participation information, right? I still need to see who was in the class, who answered the questions, right? So there are only a couple of questions that will record your names. So I'm going to use that information for your attendance and participation. If you can do all those things, you will get full credit for this case study assignment. Even though you may have some questions are wrong, that's okay. As long as you participated, you will get full credit. Now, if you cannot attend the class meeting, I put the questions and the case study in the gene expression folder, which I'll show you in a second. So you can still read the case study. And this is the key. You have to read the case study first and answer the questions. And then you will go into the quiz. I will give you 60 minutes to select your answers. This is how I record your answers. If you are available on Wednesday between 2 to 3, I highly recommend that you attend the class meeting. And that's because this case study is not very easy. So there might be some questions that really require some thinking, some research. So if you are in class with me, I can explain things, right? So that will make it a little bit easier. If you do it on your own, it may take longer and you may get some questions wrong. And I know some of you are available on Wednesday because I saw a lot of you attended the webinar on Wednesday on COVID-19 vaccines. So if you're available on Wednesday, please attend the synchronous class to participate in the case study, right? Again, this will make things a little bit easier. Whether your answers are wrong or right, you can get the full credit. For the lab, there's no quiz, and you just need to complete the modified lab work. I can't stress this enough. For a few labs now, right? So far, I have uploaded the modified lab workbook, and I've told everybody to use the modified lab work. But I still got submissions, using the original lab workbook. Now, it's important for you to read carefully all the emails, all the announcements from your instructor. And it's a critical skill for college students to understand and follow instructions. So far, I haven't really taken points off for using the wrong workbook, but I think it's a waste of time for you because I've reduced the number of questions in the modified lab workbook. I've tried my best to make things a little bit easier for you. The original one is usually very, very long, and some of the questions really kind of require some research to complete. So, the best way is just to use my modified lab workbook. If you can just pay a little bit attention to my assignment, all right? Now, for this week, if you submit the wrong lab workbook, you're going to waste some time, right, trying to answer all the questions. And I'm going to give you a 0 if you turn in the wrong lab workbook until you redo the assignment using the modified lab workbook. All right, so again, you will get a 0 if you turn in the wrong workbook. You will not get credit until you redo it and turn in the correct lab workbook. Now this week, it's important that you use my modified workbook. That's because I included some websites, some videos to replace some of the experiments in the eScience folder. And that's because the eScience lab for this particular lab, right, which is a DNA technology, uses a lab kit. We don't have the lab kit, right? We're doing everything virtually. We don't have any supplies mailed to our homes. So there are certain experiments you can't really do in eScience, which is why I included some links to videos for you to watch and answer questions. So this way you do not need any supplies to do the experiments. So this is another reason why this time, if you turn in the wrong lab workbook, you have to redo it because you would be missing some of the experiments I included in my modified workbook. All right, now let's just go to Blackboard and see what things look like real quick. If you are in G-Expressions folder, you will see that there's no lecture recording, again, because we're gonna do it synchronously. This is the case study. When you open the case study, it's in the format of PowerPoint slides, and you can just, go to each slide. It's kind of like a story, which is very easy to read. And you see there are questions. So the questions are called CQ and then numbered. So this is the first question, CQ number 1. And you can see this is a multiple choice question, right? So you have to answer the questions in the case study first. Now you don't have to do anything to my PDF file. You can just write down the answer, right? You can write down CQ1, the answer is A, B, C, or D. And then after you do that, for the entire case study, right? After you answered how many questions? 21 questions. After you're done with this, then go to this little link. This is in the format of a quiz, but it's really just a way for me to collect your answers because all the answers are all the questions are multiple choice questions, right? So it's not a good idea for you to submit, let's say, a Word document with A, B, C, D. That would be harder to grade. So instead, you're gonna do it in the quiz format, but this is not a quiz at all, right? Because you can look at the case study, you have unlimited time to look at the case study. That's not the correct PDF. Because you have unlimited time to look at the case study, right? And then write down your answers. So this is a really assignment. And after you write down all your answers, again, go to this little quiz, which is not a quiz. Put in your answers, right? So if you, I'm just gonna, no, I can't because this will review the answers. So once you, I'm gonna just do it this way. Once you start the assignment, you will see it's really, just all multiple choice answers, all multiple choice questions. So this is just kind of for you to put in your answers. And this is a better way for me to collect your response for this assignment. So you can see, you can just select the answers based on what you have written down for the case study, right? If you have written down for question 6, it's B, you can just select the B, right, until you're done with all the case studies, and you can just save and finish. Okay. So again, you have to go through the case study first, okay, and then write down your answers, and then you come here to select your answers as a form of submission. Okay, now let's look at the lab. So you can see this is the e-science lab, which you have to go through, and then there's no quiz. There's only a lab workbook submission. I have put in my modified lab work in 2 places. So you can download from here, or you can download from the instruction card. And then once you open the lab workbook, I just want to point out a few things. You only need to do the experiments that are in the lab workbook, right? So for example, you do experiment 1, strawberry DNA extraction, but this has nothing to do with experiment 1 in e-science. So this is something that I made, all right? So make sure you read the instruction. Okay? It says, watch this following video on YouTube, right? Again, you can see this has nothing to do with e-science. And then you are going to answer the questions. So there are just a few questions. So there are 4 questions for DNA strawberry extraction. DNA strawberry DNA. And then experiment 2, this is from e-science. So it's called restriction endonucleases. You will go through the background information in e-science lab, and you will know what these restriction endonucleases are and what they do. All right? And then you're gonna follow the instructions here and complete experiment 2, which is from e-science. So when you're in e-science and you click the experiment 2 link, right, there will be a file that will pop up with instructions on how to complete the experiment, and you can fill in the table. Again, there are about 4 post-lab questions, and then you're gonna skip. Excuse me. You're gonna skip experiment 3. And then you're going to jump to experiment 4, which is gel electrophoresis. And read the instruction first. You can see, again, you're going to have to go to another third-party link, right? Not from e-science, not from CPCC. But this is a link from another university that has a virtual lab for gel electrophoresis. It's an animation, so it's very easy to go through. And as you review the animation, there are some very short, easy questions for you to fill out. And all these questions are based on the information in this animation. All right, so you should be able to get all the answers. All right, that's for the lab. I don't think I missed anything, but if you have any questions, please do let me know. All right, I'll stop right here.